Steve, how has football changed in the last 20 years, particularly in terms of the innovations of the Premier League?
20 years ago, almost to the day, the Hillsborough disaster occurred at Leppings Lane end of Sheffield Wednesday's ground in an FA Cup semi-final between Liverpool and Nottingham Forest, and 96 Liverpool supporters died because the police allowed too many people to go into the ground at that end, and in the cages that existed at that time, they actually pushed back people who were trying to get out because they were being crushed onto the pitch. The police pushed them back into the cages, thinking that it was a hooligan invasion. And I think that symbolises, in some ways, how the authorities, the police and governmental authorities in the 1980s actually saw football. It was seen as a scum sport, played by scum and watched by scum. Actually, it has always been, in Britain anyway, a working class sport. It's been a mass working class sport. And even to this day, it basically still is that. If you think of Premier League teams, Premier League started in 1992, Premier League teams still, even though they have executive boxes and they have rich supporters, they're still basically supported at the ground, and often at away games, by a mass working class support. People who may well have had sort of manual jobs and moved into more middle class jobs, but actually it's still basically the same working class culture en masse that has always supported football. I think the big difference over the last 20 years is that in all sorts of senses, it has become bourgeoisified. In other words, it has been seen to be more of a middle-class sport. And in some ways, those older fans, particularly, and some of the younger fans who were brought up by usually their fathers to come and watch football, have actually been priced out of watching at the ground. They still watch on TV, they watch live in pubs, and they watch on the internet illegally, downloading software so they can watch games. But I think that's been a big issue, that the class difference now at football matches is that there are more middle-class supporters compared to working class, because people who would have gone when it was a relatively cheap, popular working-class sport, perhaps in the 1950s and 60s, are not able to go anymore, simply because they are being priced out. And as the credit crunch really hits, you'll see more and more empty seats in the sort of grounds where the real working-class fans have supported football. Middlesbrough, Blackburn, Wigan, Bolton. You look at those stadiums now, and there are huge swathes of empty seats, and I think that's going to continue. Those grounds won't be full even for the big games, because people won't be able to afford to go, or they won't be able to take their families, which they have done in the past. So I think you have to watch this space. The class differentiation in a sport like football will actually change over the next few years, partly because of the economic downturn.